The first break of the summer rain, the edge of the city with the princess and the wild dogs. Chapter 1 The first encounter after the rain in an urban village. When I was 17 years old, the summer night had just stopped raining, and the air still smelled damp and sticky. Lin Xi wore her usual princess head, wore a small dress that her mother specially brought back from Harrods, and stepped on a pair of white shoes, and was instigated by her classmates to come to the dark corner of this urban village to explore. It's the most chaotic corner of the city, devastated with tin roofs, piles of rubble and piles of rubbish, and mosquitoes buzzing around. Lin Xi took a deep breath, wanting to prove that he was not a flower in a greenhouse. As she slowly walked through the damp alley, a figure came into view. Jin Eucalyptus, covered in mud, his clothes were in tatters, and he was as dirty as a wild dog. He leaned against the dilapidated wall, tilted his head slightly, spit out the bloody saliva in his mouth, and stared coldly at Lin Xi. His gaze stayed on the little white shoes on her feet, and he smiled mockingly and gloomily, "Little princess, this is not the place for you to come." Lin Xi felt a chill spread from her ankles, but she didn't flinch, but looked back at him firmly. "I'm here to witness the truth of this world, and I don't want to live in a glass box forever." A hint of strangeness flashed in Jin Yu's eyes, but he didn't speak, just snorted coldly. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 2 The Collision of Two Worlds. The urban village is the dirtiest and most chaotic part of the city. There is no glamorous appearance here, only survival and struggle. Jin Yu is from here. He grew up in this ruin, violent and cold-blooded, and he could see blood at the age of half a year. The thin black hair concealed the cold eyebrows, like a sudden thunderstorm, making it impossible to get close. The people around him were afraid of him and hated him, but no one dared to really touch this beast. Lin Xi is a typical ivory tower pearl, living in a greenhouse built by her parents. Her world is white and flawless, but Jin Eucalyptus's is a piece of sludge. The two should not have intersected, but in this chance encounter, their fates began to intertwine. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 3 The Shadow of Adulthood. On the night of his 18th birthday, Lin Xi and his friends held a grand coming-of-age party. Gorgeous crystal lamps reflected her smiling face, and everyone congratulated her on her entry into adulthood. However, in the dead of night, after the party, she was helped back to her bedroom by her friends. The window was suddenly pushed open, and the night wind whistled in, curling her hair. Jin Yu, dressed in black, suddenly appeared and forced her into a corner. In the dim moonlight, his complex, deep eyes stared at her. 18 years old. His voice was hoarse, but with an irresistible magnetism. "Princess." His lips and teeth were close to hers, with a hint of tremor and uncertainty in his voice. Lin Xi's heart beat faster, and at this moment, their world seemed to have undergone earth-shaking changes. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 4 Secrets and Scars. The next day, Lin Xi tried to hide his abnormal feelings last night, but Jin Xi's shadow always lingered. Beneath Jin's grim exterior lies an untold secret. His father was a gang boss, his mother died young, and he learned to protect himself from a young age in a harsh environment. He is not only violent, but also an orphan who has been tricked by fate. Lin Xi's family is a celebrity, his father is the chairman of a well-known company, and his mother is a leader in the cultural industry. She has never experienced real suffering, but she is full of curiosity about this forgotten urban village. The identities of the two are very different, but because of repeated encounters and conflicts, they began to slowly close the distance. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 5 Tranquility Before the Storm. As time passed, Lin Xi gradually understood the complexity of Jin Yu's heart. His violence is a rebellion against the wounds of the past, and his indifference is the armor of self-preservation. And Jin Yu also found that this girl, who had never set foot in his world, had a tenacity and gentleness that he didn't expect. Between the two, from hostility to understanding, the spark of emotion is inadvertently ignited. However, the hidden crisis in the urban village is gradually approaching, and a storm belonging to the city is quietly gathering. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 6 A Sudden Betrayal. In a clash between underground gangs, Jin Yu was framed by design and almost imprisoned. The black hand behind it turned out to be Li Ling, a friend he once trusted and the leader of the emerging forces in the urban village. Li Ling is ambitious and vainly tries to control the entire urban village, and Jin Ling's presence is his biggest obstacle. After Lin Xi learned the news, he resolutely stood by Jin Yu's side and used his family resources to help him get out of danger. This betrayal not only tested Jin Yu's trust, but also made the relationship between the two go through the most profound baptism. Chapter 7, Turning Enemies into Friends. After the baptism of the storm, Jin Yu and Li Ling finally put aside their previous suspicions in a life and death duel and joined forces to fight against an outside force, a mysterious black-clad organization, intending to exaggerate terror in the urban village. Lin Xi assisted in the planning behind the scenes, and with her wisdom and calmness, she became a strong backing for the two. They finally understood that only unity could protect their homeland, which had once made people desperate. Chapter 8 The Covenant of the Future. After the victory, Jin decided to change the trajectory of his life and try to lead the urban village to a new life. Lin Xi chose to leave the ivory tower and devote himself to this land, changing his fate with love and action. Together, they made a pact to protect each other and the city, no matter how difficult the future may be. The two of them stood at the highest point of the urban village, overlooking the entire gradually recovering neighborhood, their eyes shining with undying hope. Chapter 9, The Symphony of Fate. The story doesn't end there. In the future, they will still face countless challenges, from the reform of urban villages to the intervention of external forces, from the struggle of their own identity to the test of emotion. But Lin Xi and Jin Yu both know that as long as there is light in their hearts, even the most dilapidated corners can bloom the most beautiful flowers. Chapter 10, The Hidden Wound. The night in the urban village was cold and biting, and Lin Xi stood in front of the dilapidated window, staring at the blurred lights in the distance. Her heart still struggled to calm down. Jin Yu's sudden appearance that night, that low call, was like a lightning bolt splitting the most vulnerable corner of her heart. Outside the window, there were bursts of shouting and intermittent dog barking, like the heartbeat of the city, which never stopped. Jin Eucalyptus's figure lingered in her mind. She began to question herself, whether this little princess, who had been pampered since childhood, could really enter that dark and complicated world. She remembered Jin Yu's bottomless eyes, which contained too many unspeakable scars and anger. His indifference is only on the surface, but behind it is a forgotten childhood, a secret that no one can touch. Chapter 11, A Secret Encounter. A few days later, Lin Xi decided to take the initiative to approach Jin Yu. She asked him to meet at an old tea house in an urban village, a place rarely set foot in the outside world. In the tea house, smoke fills the walls, and yellowed old photographs tell the story of the land. Jin Yu sat in the corner, his eyes flashing with vigilance and curiosity. Lin Xi put down the teacup in his hand and said, "I want to get to know you, to get to know the city." Jin Yu sneered, "Are you really ready? This is not the fairytale world you imagined." Lin Xi nodded firmly, "I'm not afraid, I want to accompany you through this road." Jin Yu was silent for a long time, and finally spoke softly, "Then you have to promise me one thing, don't trust anyone easily, including me. Chapter 12, The Dark Tide Rises. As the relationship between the two gradually closes, the situation in the urban village becomes more and more tense. Li Ling's power quietly grew, and he began to touch more dark deals, and even involved the intervention of foreign forces. Jin Yu knew that this struggle for power would shed blood, and he secretly organized his own team, vowing to protect everything he cherished. Lin Xi used her family's resources to try to set off a storm in the law and the media, exposing the dark side of the urban village and bringing a ray of light to the city. However, the road was far more rugged than she had imagined. Chapter 13, The Crack of Truth. By chance, Lin Xi found an unsent letter in her father's study, revealing a secret deal between her family and the gangsters in the urban village. This shocked her and she began to re-examine the world around her. She found Jin Yu, her eyes full of contradiction and pain. I don't know what to believe anymore. Jinyu didn't answer immediately, but said lightly, in this world, no one is perfect. Only by facing it can we change. Lin Xi burst into tears, feeling the complexity and cruelty of the world for the first time. Chapter 14, The Assault of the Night. Li Ling was unwilling to fail, and sent people to attack Jinyu's hiding place at night, trying to annihilate his opponent in one fell swoop. That night, fierce gunfighting broke out in the urban village, and the fire reflected the darkness of the night. Jinan and Lin Xi fought side by side, experiencing life and death. Lin Xi was accidentally injured in the crisis, and Jinan ran away holding her, his eyes full of despair and anger. Don't be afraid, I won't let you have any problems. His voice was deep but firm, and this sentence became a new agreement between the two. Chapter 15, The Dawn Before Dawn. After a series of hard battles, Jinyu and Lin Xi finally found the key evidence that could disintegrate Li Ling's power. With the help of media exposure and police intervention, Li Ling was arrested and imprisoned. The situation in the urban village gradually stabilized, and residents began to rebuild their homes on their own. Lin Xi stood on the street, watching the children running and playing, with tears in her eyes. Here, there is finally hope. Jinyu walked up to her and clasped her hand. Together, let's make this city a real home. Chapter 16, The Unfinished Story. Victory is not the end, but the beginning of a new journey. Lin Xi and Jinyu understand that their future is still full of challenges, and the shadow of the past will not easily dissipate, but as long as they rely on each other, they can face everything. The story of the city continues to be written, and their names will become immortal legends.